Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the new screensavers is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and once again, time for Twit's audience survey. We'd really like to hear from you. It's only going to take a couple of minutes, really. That's all. Just go to twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. Your anonymous feedback will help us make Twit even better. And thanks for your continued support. The new Screensavers is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. When it comes to the big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, work with one that has your best interest in mind. Use Rocket Mortgage for a transparent, trustworthy home loan process that's completely online at quickenloans.com/NSS. And by Curry, a real live robot with a great personality. Curry is available for pre-order now at heycurry.com. That's HEYKURI.com. And by Blue Apron. Blue Apron will send you fresh, high-quality ingredients to cook delicious meals with simple step-by-step instructions right to your door. See what's on the menu this week and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/NSS.
Seeing your baby before she's born, old film is new again, and the Game of Geeks. Live from Twit, it's the new Screensavers.
Screensavers, I'm Leo Laporte, and look who's here!
I'm Andy Ihnatko.
So nice to see you all the way out from the East Coast.
Here.
You came out for yesterday's tribute to Sal Soghoian.
Exactly, Apple legend, and now creating new legends now that he's post-Apple. So cool to see him, so cool to hang out with him, and it elevates my sense of coolness just by having proximity to Sal. So yeah, easy decision to come out to see that.
I suppose for those of you who don't watch Mac Break Weekly, I should introduce Andy as the host of Mac Break Weekly, writes for the Chicago Sun-Times, does many other podcasts, and is a good, dear friend of mine and of the network from years gone by. Yeah, Sal. So Sal left Apple.
He was Apple.
Apple left Saul.
Decided to remove itself from Sal.
Sal. Okay, that's a little insight we didn't have earlier.
Also
so that's
an insult.
Good to know. Yes, a dumb thing to do. In fact, Sal is the guy behind the Automator and the Apple script, and he really helped a lot of companies and individuals automate their Mac workflow. Great guy. Paul Kent, who's another name that lives in Apple legend. He was the guy who put together Macworld Expo for many, many years. That he's not doing that anymore, but he decided to throw a dinner for about 60 close friends, and that's great.
And 60 really great people, all of whom had the same wonderful stories about Sal.
Oh, I bet.
One of the common threads with Sal is that he just helps everybody and wants to educate everybody and help them find the power to create great things with Macs and scripting.
So essentially, Sal got to go to his funeral before he died.
Right? One person had to be said, stop saying past tense. Sal is
still with us. He's right there.
Yes.
And more vital than ever. He always reminded me of Zorba the Greek, just this guy with his big personality, big black beard, the beret. We've been on many a cruise with him. And of course, we did the original Mac Break shows, the video versions with him. We've got an amazing show planned for you. We recorded just minutes ago an interview with Samuli Cantell and his wife Linda. They're from Finland, and he created a virtual reality sonogram so that Linda could meet their baby before she was born. It's remarkable. We'll also talk to Dale Baskin. He's from DP Review. We're going to start a regular segment, I think, with the DP Review guys. It's one of the best sites for camera reviews and so forth. So Dale's going to stop by and talk about what's going on in the world of photography right now. Let's see, Game of Geeks. We did a great Game of Geeks a couple of weeks ago offline. We'll get you a little segment with Father Robert Ballecer, Jason Calacanis, Iain Thomson, and this time I got to compete. Megan Morrone has a new marble maze, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the top stories. Here's one that you probably didn't read, but I really liked. It's from the Washington Post. How bad is email for the environment? Now, I think people kind of assume that everything that happens online is just kind of environmentally neutral, right? But no, in fact, of course, you're using a server, and there is a carbon footprint to everything. The average spam email is 0.3 grams of carbon dioxide emissions. Believe it or not, a normal email is even worse, 4 grams of CO2. But of course, searches and other things also use, the world used energy. The world's data centers in 2010 accounted for 134 million tons of CO2, a quarter of the world's global
total. That's not just green PR. When Facebook and Apple and Google say we are making our data centers self-sufficient, they would become essentially like coal plant, 19th century coal plant factories if they were sucking down all this energy and not replacing it. And also you see another big problem is actually Bitcoin mining. We're now at the point where to generate new Bitcoin, it really does require huge computers generating an amazing amount of electricity. And a lot of the biggest Bitcoin farms are actually located where just like a power plant used to be, where is their natural water, where is their natural
cheap energy.
Now it's like exactly where is there big, reliable, and cheap energy we can do, and it's also creating its own problem.
That's actually a testament to the genius of Satoshi Nakamoto, the person or persons anonymously who created Bitcoin, because he they very cleverly created a scheme where it would roughly cost as much to mine Bitcoin as the Bitcoin would be worth. So as mining went on, it got harder and harder to make a Bitcoin and consume more and more energy to make it. It's kind of a brilliant scheme all around.
If you want to make a tech journalist cry, do one or two things. Either mention that Apple was at 12 3/8 a share, and they wrote that article about how Apple is doomed, or write about that time where you did that fun little fluff piece on Bitcoin. You bought, I'm going to spend $20 on a couple of Bitcoin, and then you're done with it, so you just like bought
a pizza.
And so you just threw it away, and now it would be worth $18,000.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. Netflix says that the average Netflix user has 300 grams of carbon dioxide a year through using Netflix. That's not devices. That's just the server cost of serving that video to you. In fact, if you look at your TV, your old 32-inch CRT was 84 grams. A 15-inch LCD is 37 grams, but get ready for this. And by the way, that's per hour. If you still have a plasma lying around, we do, a 42-inch plasma, small plasma, 240 grams of carbon dioxide an hour. It's the biggest consumer of all. So just keep that in mind. Even video games, streaming music, servers in general.
I'll
so
cut
it's
off
good.
the Game of Thrones after 4 episodes. Just don't tell me anything that happens after 1981.
Here's an interesting one about in Annals of Artificial Intelligence. I think we're going to have to start a new segment on this show. Annals of Artificial Intelligence. Deep learning is now as good as a dermatologist in identifying skin cancer. They've created an AI at Stanford with a database of 130,000 skin disease images and trained the AI, and then they pitted it against, by the way, this is Sebastian Thrun, who you will know very well as the head of Google's X research division. In a paper in Nature, January 25th, they tested it against 21 board-certified dermatologists, and the algorithms matched the performance. In other words, it does as well as an actual doctor. That actually has some real value, because at some point, you'll be able to go in a scanner and it can scan you and say, you're good, or you should get some treatment.
Well, not even that, but you have a lot of citizens in developing countries where they don't necessarily have access to regular medicine, but because broadband is their infrastructure, they do have a phone with a camera. That's not enough to say, okay, you're diagnosed, you're cool, but it is enough to say, okay, it is going to be worth it for you to now seek second-level treatment here.
I absolutely think that's great. Last story, did you read the article in the New Yorker this week? Doomsday Prep for the Super Rich. This is by Evan Osnos. He actually did an interview on Fresh Air as well with Terry Gross. I don't know, maybe you heard it. But apparently, the super rich in Silicon Valley are planning for the end of civilization in a variety of ways. He mentions Steve Huffman. Now, you and I both wear glasses. I'm wearing contacts right now. Huffman, who's one of the founders of Reddit with Alexis Ohanian, and has several $100 million, just play with, decided to get LASIK surgery because he says, if civilization crumbles, I'm blind without my glasses. I won't be able to get glasses or contacts. I want to be able to hunt for food.
Yeah. It's such an There was finally time at last. Yeah. But what an engineer's solution to a problem.
Exactly.
It's like, no, all I got to do is make sure that I have I got my appendix out before the apocalypse, make sure my eyeglass prescription is up to date. It's like, okay, realize that there's going to be like horses on fire running down the street.
Well, it depends.
What's your plan to solve that?
It depends on what kind of apocalypse. And I think what happens is a lot of people in Silicon Valley, as they start to realize the thin edge that all civilization lives on, all you have to do is read Jerry Parnell's Lucifer's Hammer to realize that, we only have a week's worth of food in our food supply. It'd be easy if the grid went down. There's all sorts of things that could reduce us to a less civilized state. Yeah. The guy who wrote Chaos Monkeys, his former Facebook product manager, Antonio Garcia Martinez, bought a 5-acre island in the Pacific Northwest. He says he's got all the food, the generators, and lots of ammo, in case you're thinking of visiting, so that he can retire. But my favorite one is a retired Atlas missile silo. It was built in the early 60s, right around the Cuban Missile Crisis. Was decommissioned not very long after, in the mid-60s. A developer bought it and has built a 15-story underground condominium complex. The apartment started at $3 million, but the idea is, if there are horses, unfurnished. No, well, one thing it is furnished with, screens, because you're underground, there's no windows, so instead of windows, it's got big screens with pictures. And in fact, they mentioned that one of the tenants, who's from New York, made sure that they got 3 or 4 hours of video out of her New York apartment that they could feed in case she's been living underground for years.
Yeah, problem solved.
Problem solved. They say they can grow their own food, they can generate electricity, and they could live there for quite some time.
I got to say, the article really gave me my own idea of what I'm going to do with disaster prep. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get that article printed out, keep it in my wallet, because once the apocalypse comes, I know that, okay, to kill somebody and take all of his food, ammo, and medical supplies, here's a map of all the islands are.
Right.
We'll get a posse together, but since we've been surviving on the top side in the beyond times, we'll be stronger, we'll be able to take that stuff. So take that handy survival tip from me, Andy Ihnatko, the Chicago Sun-Times. And remember who your friends were after you see the cows
That's right. And if you find some really good stuff, let us know. We'll be there.
You know what I mean, good stuff.
After you take it over. All right, I think it's time for us to get to work here, and this is a very interesting story. Who found this? Did you find this? Anthony Nielsen found a guy named Samuli Cantell. He owns a business called, he's a founder and creative director of Adventure Club, which is a digital product studio. He and his wife Linda join us on the phone from Helsinki, where it's the middle of the night and very cold. Thank you so much for joining us, Linda and Samuli.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice to be on your show.
It's great to have you. So what is a digital products studio? What does that mean?
So what we do is we help companies to innovate new digital products. And besides that, we have a few startups, and we help, we experiment with new technologies to come up with new cool stuff. And then we see if those are interesting enough that we can make them as a services, and then perhaps sell them to companies or launch new startups based on them.
Well, I'm very interested in this latest adventure, and I gather Linda was the guinea pig for this.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Don't call this lovely woman a guinea pig in any context. She's lovely.
No, it's okay. I love guinea pigs. So.
Are you still pregnant, or was your baby born?
Yeah, our baby was born. She's now 4.5 months.
Oh, how wonderful. And when she gets a little older, she's going to be able to go back and visit her womb with a view.
Have a tour, virtual tour.
A virtual tour, because Samuli and Linda have created something. They've taken the ultrasound to the next level, a virtual reality model. Wow. I mean, wow. So tell me what the process was. You obviously had to get your tummy scanned a lot, right?
Yeah, well, or actually it's just 2 times.
Oh.
But then we had this one extra for this project. So then I don't know how many scans they took.
Yeah, I think
it took like 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. And it wasn't invasive or anything. It wasn't uncomfortable, was it?
No. I just laid on my back and didn't do anything.
Samuli, how did you come up with this idea?
Well, we were experimenting about using CT scans. Are you familiar what a CT scan is?
No.
Okay. Well, basically, when you broke your finger, you go and get it scanned. That's a CT scan most of the time.
Okay.
So we were experimenting how to use the CT scans with virtual reality for medical use. And since Linda was pregnant and we had those ultrasound pictures in our hands, I started to think that there was a lot of emotion in those pictures, even though that they were really like muddy and you couldn't see much from them. So I started to think that how awesome would it be actually to use the virtual reality technology, which is really immersive, to do something this personal and experience the baby this way.
Now, I've seen a lot of virtual reality, real object capture, and you're going to capture your shoe with this wonderful VR capture development, but it doesn't look like your shoe. It's like the shape of your shoe. How good was the first imagery you got back?
Yeah, well, to be honest, we had to use a lot of manual labor. So the data that we got out of the scanner, it was pretty muddy. There was some reasons for it. We were a bit late in pregnancy when we took the scans, so that was one reason. And overall, it's not just good quality that it would right away drop into virtual reality. And,
this isn't just like a project for you. This is also your child. Did you have like an emotional connection to even like the model that was not quite right and the tables of data? Did you feel like that connection building?
Yes, yeah, all the time. It was pretty creepy, actually, almost.
In your opinion, are people commenting on you?
Well, it's powerful because this is your child that you're seeing for the very first time.
And this is the actual model we're looking at right now?
Yes.
Yep.
What's her name?
Her name is Freya.
Freya, and you met her. Now, an ultrasound to me looks very different from a CT scan. But is it basically the same kind of three-dimensional data? And how hard is it to convert that ultrasound into what we're seeing right now?
Yes, there's a lot of labor needed to get that actually done on a way. So what we are seeing here is actually there was a pretty skillful 3D modeler helping me on the project.
Got it. So you took what was essentially the ultrasounds and then had an artist kind of literally flesh it out.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the idea that you know that this is based on your own child was enough to make the emotion, to make it really emotional, the whole experience.
Linda, what was it like when you put on the visor for the first time and you're meeting your daughter?
Well, it was really, really weird. And also because we actually didn't know if we were going to have a boy or a girl.
Oh, wow. This is how you found out?
So, no, because if you look at the baby floating,
you can't tell.
It has or its legs are crossed.
Yeah. She's very modest. But
we didn't actually know because when they took the scans, I don't know if they saw that it was a girl, but they didn't tell us.
They didn't tell you.
And we didn't get any scans where you could see that.
Now, Sam, I'm sorry. Sam, did you have any role in manipulating the model to clean it up from the raw data? Or was there somebody who had no idea what you were expecting in terms of facial features, similarity, and this is just you were as surprised as anybody else was?
Yes. So I had a friend of mine helping me on this. And I don't have any skills when it comes to 3D, so I couldn't be there and tell him okay, let's do it like this or that. So I was just enthusiastically waiting for what we'll find out or what he will come up with.
You created this for the HTC Vive because I see Linda wearing the Vive visor for the experience, and it's a still. You didn't do a motion picture. It's just a snapshot, right?
Yeah, this is this was done really low budget. So basically, what we used was €0 and 10 working days to do this.
Wow! And how old was the baby when you did this picture? How many months along?
I can't remember.
I think I was maybe 29 weeks or maybe a little bit over 30 weeks.
So a normal pregnancy is
Pregnant.
40 weeks, so she was like 75% there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, when the baby was actually born, and you are introduced from this beautiful, perfect surface model to this slimy, screaming creature, was that kind of a disconnect for you emotionally?
Andy's not a father. Can I just point that out?
I'm not a father. That means I'm objective.
It's
I'm
not
objective.
a slimy creature.
A slimy bundle of joy.
Yeah.
Does she look like
We were
this?
expecting more. Yeah, we were not that happy with the baby.
So
They sent it back because they had a
So
picture.
send it back to the artist who can use 3D sketch.
No. But
So
do
what
you,
went wrong?
as she's aged, does her face kind of correlate to the face in the ultrasound?
There is
Well-
similarities, but I think what Linda said is that this virtual reality baby looked a bit like a.
Well, it looks like a boy.
Oh, of course, and your daughter
we were
looks like a
lucky
girl.
enough that we had the most beautiful baby ever.
Oh,
of course
She's
you
like
did.
perfect and all. So yeah.
Of course you did.
Now,
This is really cool. Do you anticipate this being an actual product that at some point in the near future, parents will be able to see and interact with I mean, that would be really, it's enough to see the ultrasound. But if you ever looked at an ultrasound, it's hard. It's like I see that's a child, but it's weird looking. But this is vivid. I think this would be an amazing experience.
Yes, we have like I think 4 or 5 different parents so far send us emails to ask if we could do this for them. So for that reason, we are now pushing this to become a real service.
Good.
So I think in actually pretty near future, this could be a service for the parents. It's the quality is not good enough yet for the professionals, I think, but for the parents, sure. I think within this year we can push something to market.
And Samuli, I love it that you have her floating in a star field.
Yes.
She's kind of in a nebula in space. It's very 2001. I really,
Yes, I know.
I really like that. I think this is so great. Linda, are you going to do this for your next baby? Okay, before anyway.
What's next, baby?
Maybe not a next baby, then you won't have to worry about it. If you want to know more again about Samuli and Linda's business, it's adventure-club.fi. It's in Helsinki. And before we let you go, though, I got to ask you, it's been driving me crazy. It looks as if you have a picture of Bill Murray in a naval uniform. Is that your grandfather?
No, that is Bill Murray.
Oh.
It really is Bill Murray.
You have a portrait of Bill Murray as Admiral Nelson in your home with flowers in front of it.
Yes, and you don't.
I definitely don't, and I wish I did now.
I have to say, my two halves of my brain are having a war over what's cooler that you VR'd your baby, or it's cooler that you have an oil painting of Bill Murray as the liberator of Eastern Russia in your home.
Who is he dressed as?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I like the liberator of Helsinki and Russia. Finland and Russia. It's not always been a great. So maybe he is the liberator of Finland.
Oh.
And many people.
I'd back whatever side has Bill Murray on it.
Hey, it's so great to talk to you, Samuli and Linda. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and congratulations on your baby. I know she's not slimy and funny looking. She's beautiful, the best baby ever. It's great to talk to you. Take care. That is so cool.
Yeah,
I want that. And imagine, when you're an adult and say, "Would you like to see my baby pictures?" But you've got to put on the VR headset.
Well, also if you can put them in a better put them in the Library of Congress as this child inside the middle of the dome representing spirituality and intelligence, shining down malevolence. That's probably the $500 package.
It's a little more expensive, right? Instead of just like
it's the upsell. The business model is all about the upsell.
It is definitely 2001: A Space Odyssey, right? That's the end of the movie where the baby's floating in space. That's definitely where he was inspired by. Coming up, Dale Baskin from DP Review joins us. We're going to talk about it's film photography. It's back, including Extachrome. But first, a word from Rocket Mortgage. There's one thing we don't want to go backwards in, and that is in our mortgage process. We want to get into the 21st century, the loan approval process, and that's what Rocket Mortgage is all about. From Quicken Loans, Rocket Mortgage. Now, I got to tell you, Quicken Loans is the best mortgage lender in the country. They are certainly one of the biggest. They have all those J.D. Power customer satisfaction awards. You go to the website, you'll see it. QuickenLoans.com/NSS. Rocket Mortgage is a product they created just for us, the geeks, because they've taken the mortgage approval process and they put it entirely online. You no longer have to go through papers to get, your bank statements or your pay stubs. You can do it all online. And because it's through a computer, it's more accurate, right? There's no typos. You get the latest rates, and you can even customize it. They've got sliders for your payoff period and your rate and everything, so you can get that loan just the way you want it. It's an intelligent, customizable mortgage solution, and it's always got the latest rates, and it's fast. You'll get a loan within minutes. I compare that to the last time we bought a house. Lisa and I took, how long did it take? 6 weeks? 2 months? We thought, well, it's going to be 4. We went on a vacation, and we're faxing stuff from a cruise ship so we can get the new house. Crazy. If it's time to buy, time to refi, let's get to the 21st century. Rocket Mortgage, transparent, trustworthy, a home loan process completely online at QuickenLoans.com/NSS. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. And MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030. Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. We thank them for their support of the new Screensavers. Hey, we're thrilled to begin a new segment on the show. I hope we're going to do this on a regular basis. You love cameras. I love cameras. I know a lot of you guys love cameras. Dale Baskin is here. He's new content director at DP Review, the best camera review site, dpreview.com. Hey, Dale.
Hey, Leo. Hey, Andy. Hey, and we love cameras too, so we're all in the good club.
Yeah, that's the only problem with being a camera buff. I wish I were a better photographer.
It could be an expensive hobby.
Yeah, and I somehow got it in my mind that if I just got the right camera, I'd be a great photographer.
Yeah, in the industry, we have a phrase for that. It's called GAS, Gear Acquisition Syndrome.
I got gas.
And
bad.
There's a tendency to believe if you just buy that newer piece of equipment, your photos will be magic.
And you guys are really enablers, gas enablers, because
yeah.
I go to DP Review all the time, and I go, gotta get that, gotta get that, gotta get that. Andy, you said you're shopping?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be buying a Panasonic, the new RX10, I think it is, TX10. The new Lumix, the nice compact one that's a 4K mode.
Oh, the LX10.
LX10,
that would be the LX10, yeah.
That's got
great little compact camera.
Yeah, because I've been.
What are you shooting right now? You shooting Olympus OMD, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got my bear gear, my kitty bag over there. But yeah, I've been shooting Micro Four Thirds for the past 3 years. The OMD EM1 has been just really you like to buy technology that makes you feel as though I can now be much better better than I was. Not just, oh look, it's a gadget, but I feel like I want to take more pictures now, and that's what does it for me.
As good as digital photography has gotten, there's still a group of people who are shooting film. In fact, there's maybe even a larger group of people who went digital and now are shooting film. Why is that? What is it about film that attracts people, Dale?
Well, it's probably the same thing that makes people buy vinyl records. Why are people doing that? It's a different era. Possibly we're holding on to a little bit of nostalgia or romance from an earlier age, but there's also the fact that it's tangible. I can grab these things, I can print them out, and you do get a different look than you do with digital. And to a lot of people, that's really important, particularly artists. Artists care about the look, and they care about the technique and the genuine process they go through to create their work. And so film really is making a resurgence right now.
I also kind of fell in love. I got convinced to pick up some film cameras, and I kind of fell in love with the hardware as well. This is a Leica. Both these cameras are mine, the Rollei and the Leica, and they're both the same age as me. They're 60-year-old cameras from 1956. One of the reasons I chose it. But this is the Leica M3, and it is a work of art. There's no battery. It's all brass. It feels amazing when you shoot a picture with it. The problem is it's a lot of work to shoot a picture with it.
And so much money.
And the good news is there's still film, and that's one of the things that's a breaking story is that Kodak is bringing back. I've been shooting Tri-X, the classic Tri-X film, and a little bit of Ilford film, and this is a Portra. This is a 120 film that I shoot in the Rollei. That's how big a 120 roll is. So these are still made, but some of the classic films have gone away, haven't they?
They absolutely have, and more have been disappearing every year.
Yeah.
But we are starting to see a resurgence, and we'll talk about a couple of those.
All right. So I heard about Extachrome. First of all, didn't Kodak go out of business?
You know, the whole saga of Kodak is really interesting. The two main things you'll probably need to know about Kodak these days is there's really a couple of Kodaks that are involved in film. One is Kodak in Rochester, New York, and one is Kodak Ballecer, who is in the UK.
Oh.
And we don't need to go into the whole saga, but for the most part, you can think about Kodak Ballecer as the company making photography film, and the one in Rochester is making cinema film.
Okay, so if I have this Tri-X, this comes from the UK probably.
Or it's manufactured under license.
Under license, okay. And this is fresh film, you know, it's amazing that I can still buy this, and it's not terribly expensive. A lot of people do a hybrid thing where they shoot film and then they have the negatives scanned. Mm-hmm. But yes. I've been told that as good as print film is for that, negatives from slide film would even be better. Extachrome is coming back.
Yeah, it probably depends on the particular technique you're using and the particular type of film, but Extachrome really does scan very nicely. One of the things that's really exciting is Extachrome has actually been resurrected. We now have Extachrome again. This is not the new Extachrome. This is a roll I happen to have lying around the office.
That was in your fridge for the last 33 years.
Not in my fridge. This has been sitting under my desk for 2 years at DP Review, not in a fridge.
Oh, I'm sure it's fine. Just go ahead and use it.
Just in case they try to fire you, then you'll finally get the roll process.
It probably would work. But I'll tell you the thing that's really critical about Extachrome, and the reason we should care is Extachrome was developed way back in the 1940s. This is a film that's been around for a long time, and it's one of the primary films that National Geographic used for decades. So when we think about photography and we think about that National Geographic look, that's such a classic film look, much of that was actually shot on Extachrome film. Around 2012, it was discontinued because digital photography came along. Everybody started shooting digital, but they've started producing it again. And what Kodak has said is that is a direct response to the fact that people are buying it. So people are buying this, and they're buying more of it than ever.
Now, why is it not possible for me to take pictures with a really good digital camera and then make it look like Extachrome or make it look like Fuji Color?
Well, you absolutely can, and there's a lot of really good plugins that work with applications like Lightroom and Photoshop, Alien Skin Exposure, VSCO, and they can produce a film-like look. But just like trying to create the sound of a vinyl record from a digital recording, it won't always translate perfectly. Some people may see more than is really there. It depends on how much nostalgia you probably have wrapped up in it. But in particular, the way you expose digital in film is a little bit different, and it gives you a different look.
Yeah, and also there's the tactile process of taking a picture. I mean, there's you hold like a really well-made camera, mechanical camera in your hand, and that's what got me to appreciate why some of my friends, no joke, just enjoy the craftsmanship that goes into a well-made gun, because it's precise. There's nothing. Their tolerances are beautiful, and look at that interface. It's not like having a phone where it's like, okay, there's no button. Okay, now there's a sheet of glass, and if I press this, pretends it's a button. No, there is a clicky lever. There is a film wind. There are two knobs.
Very
you have to
film
turn.
wind. Yeah, it's fun.
And it does make you a little bit more contemplative because every time you press the button, it costs money.
It's $1.50 out of your pocket.
It's $1.50 every time you press that button.
That should be the new celebrity index. Like, what if we make film cost like $80 a frame? They decide, oh, there's Hugh Grant. He's not doing anything I could sell for more than $80. Okay, I'll let him do that.
The other reason is you think about the classic pictures that were taken. This roll is the same one that Vivian Maier used for all of her amazing street photography. In fact, in some of her self-portraits and mirrors and stuff, you could see her holding this. And so there's this kind of magical fantasy that you're using the same camera that a great photographer used. It's kind of fun. There you go. These amazing images. So I don't know. I feel a connection, I guess, to some of these photographers. You see that first picture there. She's holding.
Well, this is part of the nostalgia I was talking about.
Yeah.
When you pick up a film camera, like you said, Leo, it has a different feel. You've got the mechanics. There's a smell to a film camera because of the oils and lubricants they use. And you know what I mean.
Yes.
It has a smell to it.
Yeah.
I can see you guys sniffing it right there. Don't get high on it. That might not be good. But part of the reason a lot of people are shooting these is because there are so many cameras out there. And once you get some film, you can buy film cameras for fantastic prices on the used market, and they can be a lot of fun, and you force yourself to learn the craft.
That's the other thing. These are a fraction of the cost of modern digital cameras. And if you find one that's really been well maintained, like this Leica is beautifully maintained, you have something special. Okay, Extachrome is back. I'm not a big Extachrome fan. Now, if they brought back Kodachrome, then
Leo, I love Kodachrome. I shot Kodachrome for years.
Yeah.
I have a box of Kodachrome that was also under my desk next to the power supply of my computer.
Wow.
I don't know if there's anyone who ever shot film that doesn't recognize the red box.
Yep.
Kodachrome is a very distinctive look. That said, the photography world went nuts earlier this year after Extachrome was reintroduced. We thought, bring back Kodachrome, bring back Kodachrome. And around CES, a rumor started flowing that Kodachrome was coming back as well, and that Kodak was doing this. Unfortunately, I've got bad news for you.
Oh, no.
Kodak put the kibosh on that this week.
Oh.
They made it clear that they're not ready to bring back Kodachrome quite yet. They've thought about the idea apparently, but one of the things that's important to keep in mind about Kodachrome, which also has a very distinctive look, is the infrastructure you need to build around Kodachrome is much more complex.
The E6 process for Extachrome, I could do. The chemistry was simple enough that you could do it at home. You can't do that with Kodachrome, I don't think.
No, it requires a lot of specialized chemicals, specialized labs. The process is very, very precise, and it would be a pretty big infrastructure jump to bring that back.
Are you going to shoot some Extachrome, you think?
I'm absolutely going to shoot Extachrome. I'm tempted to go shoot this Kodachrome, but there's nowhere in the world that can process it today. Literally does not exist.
No lab in the world can take Kodachrome?
It does not exist. The last lab shut down a few years ago. There was a big deal about the National Geographic photographer Steve McCurry actually shooting the last roll of Kodachrome and processing it, and that was it. Game over.
That's kind of sad. I'm not crazy about it. I see you also have some Polaroids there. The still stuff, the instant stuff is back as well. In fact, I see HP and Epson and a variety of others making cameras that shoot. Is it the same process as Polaroid?
It really is. I've got a whole bunch of prints right here. I'll tell you, Leo, these are so much fun, and they are making a comeback. Fujifilm, who makes these particular films here, they can't make this stuff fast enough, and it flies off the shelves around the holidays. It was a top seller. When we get these cameras at DP Review, we almost have fistfights over who gets to shoot these things because they're so much fun. Do they have the resolution of digital? No, absolutely not, but they've got this tangible magic. You can be at a party or an event, take a photo, hand it to somebody. You can see the wonder in their eyes as they stare at the photo and watch this process happen in front of their eyes. It turns out that was an invention that may have been ahead of its time. I think it's coming back. And there's a ton of cameras. You have your twin lens reflex there. I think there's a web page that you guys have a link to. If you scroll down, you can get a twin lens reflex that shoots this kind of film right here. And it really is a functioning twin lens reflex.
That's
it makes you go through that process.
Yeah, there's a cycle of nostalgia where you enter your 40s and you're not rich, but you have enough money that you can buy stuff you want in your 20s because no one wants it anymore. I'm so close to buying the Hasselblad roll film setup that I've always lusted after reading popular photography when I was 12 years old in the school library. And now I can't shoot with it because I can't get the film for it, I can't get it developed, but I can actually have the physical object for about $400 instead of $4,000.
Why I bought an M3 and a roll. I've always wanted a Roll, and it's so nice to own it.
As a static object even, it's just a
gorgeous.
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So, and now you can get one that shoots instant film.
Okay, I've got all these questions. You mentioned Hasselblad. Just a little sidebar on this. Did they not just sell a big chunk of Hasselblad off?
Hasselblad was actually acquired by DJI, which we all know because they make drones. The Phantom folks, absolutely.
What does that mean for Hasselblad going forward?
You know, nobody really knows right now, but Hasselblad has a long history of making amazing products, building them in Sweden. These are primarily Swedish-built products.
Right.
And DJI has proven that they can make good products as well. They care about quality. They care about product development. I'm personally optimistic. I don't think a company like DJI acquires Hasselblad with the idea they're not going to do anything with it or develop it. So I actually think this is a great sign for Hasselblad. I think there's a fantastic future here.
Well, they did, in fact, just announce this new X system. I know Trey Ratcliffe had ordered one and was very excited about this.
Yes.
Have you tried these guys yet? This guy yet, or?
You know, I personally have not had a chance to. A couple of our correspondents have had their hands on them, and they sound absolutely amazing. I anticipate we'll get one in very soon, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, they're just about to come out. I want to go back to instant film real quickly. A couple of questions. Which camera do you like best for instant film? You know, I think the reason this is hot now is Instagram. Solely, people want to take Instagram pictures and give them to somebody, right? So
yeah, you want it right away.
Yeah. So which one do you like?
So I actually have my personal favorite right here. This is a Lomo camera. If you know anything about Lomo cameras or lomography, they are by definition low definition
They're bad cameras.
Water soluble command
They
cameras
leak
almost.
light. They look crappy. They were Russian,
They
right?
have vignetting, absolutely. And
The
this
Trabant
does
of
exactly
cameras.
that, except it does it with instant film. So I can put an instant
Is
film
it-
pack in here and have my experience.
Is it actually made by Lomo?
Yeah, this is you guys probably can't zoom in here, but it says lomography right here. This is a
Wow.
Lomo camera.
Okay, that's the one to get?
This is my personal favorite. The one that takes the best pictures, in my opinion, is that twin lens reflex camera that you guys popped
Really?
up on screen a moment ago. It's got a beautiful lens, f2.8, gets nice shallow depth of
Nice.
field. It's really great.
Nice. That's the same as this
I
one.
thought the whole point of a Lomo is that it doesn't take sharp photos. It takes wonderfully analog.
Well, it
punk
does,
rock
and then you
style
put,
pictures.
if you want to make it even more analog, you print it on instant film, and
Bingo.
everybody looks like a potato, but that's okay.
That's the point.
I've never used one of these new instants, but it must be wonderful when you use it in front of like a 6 or 7 or even a 10-year-old kid who did not grow up with the idea
idea.
of prints. Like,
Yeah.
what is coming out of your phone? Like, what kind of magic is this? Sorcerer.
You
Andy,
stole my
that is-
soul.
That is not limited to kids. This happens with adults. So
Yeah.
many adults have never seen an actual print come out of an instant camera. So it happens with adults as well. And by the way, if you don't actually want to go for the full-blown camera, you can actually buy printers that print
Right.
the Instax film and send a photo from your cell phone, but get the instant look from it.
HP and Epson, I think, are both selling.
HP, Epson, Fujifilm sells their Instax as well,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
very similar.
And I think they all use the same film. Wait, is
Polaroid has
this
a system
new,
like that, yeah.
Yeah, is this new film going to last longer than Polaroids? Remember, Polaroids after a few years start to yellow and fade out.
Well, who knows, but that's not why you use a Polaroid.
Who knows and who cares?
If you want really long-lasting photos, take digital, put it on a hard drive, bury it in a vault.
Well, maybe the better question is, can you still smush around the image while it's developing and make wacky
Oh yeah,
faces
you
and
can,
stuff?
right?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
absolutely. That works great.
That was a whole art movement, is smushing Polaroids. And does waving it, does that help at all? Or
No, not at all.
Okay.
You see everyone get these, and this is exactly what they do, but it doesn't really make any difference.
No difference at all.
The hardest part, even for me, and I've seen thousands of these at this point, is I'm impatient. I want the image, and I want it now, but there's still that magic of waiting.
Well, I've got this set. I believe I'm doing I'm thinking it's going to be f2.8, and I'm going to do 1/30th of a second. And Andy's posing right now, and another Vivian Meyer image is born, ladies and gentlemen, black and white and living color.
I'll look on the cover of Life magazine for it.
I think I've ran out of film. It's not moving anymore. Hey, Dale,
What a great
it's always a
finish,
pleasure. I look forward to doing this more often with you guys. dpreview.com. It's a
Absolutely.
great site with lots of great content, and it's sold many a camera to me. New content editor at DP Review, Dale Baskin. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Andy.
Great to talk to you. Coming up, mailbag, and I'm sorry you weren't here for this, another round of Game of Geeks. This is the round we're going to do this time. We were blindfolded and each given an iconic piece of electronics, and we had to identify it as accurately as possible from touch alone. Surprisingly hard.
That looks like fun.
It was. I did not do well. Anyway, we'll do that in just a second. First, I want to talk about Curry. This is your first robot. That's how I want to build this. Your first robot. It's from the folks at Mayfield Robotics. We went down and saw Curry last week, and I fell in love. And I don't know if I can communicate how cool Curry is in the static ad or with static pictures. That's Curry. She is adorable. She's about knee high. Kids love her. Now, what does she do? Nothing. Well, a lot of things. Mostly, she's a companion robot. So she'll follow you around. She can wake you up in the morning. You could say, Curry, I'd like to listen to NPR or any of a variety of streams, and then follow me. And as you walk around the house in the morning, do your morning routine, make breakfast, get coffee, Curry will follow you and continue to play NPR for you. It's so cool. She looks at you. You see, she's very, she just went to sleep. I'm calling her a she. Some people call him a he. He's cute. He is not invasive, and he's not intrusive, and he's not creepy. And that's what Mayfield Robotics was really trying hard to make a robot, your first companion robot, that would really be something the kids even would be comfortable with. So instead of speaking in words, which is potentially scary, Curry uses a distinctive robot language of chirps and beeps and head nods and looks up and looks down. You actually personify him almost immediately. I mean, I really felt close to Curry after a while. Now, he does have a camera in his left eye, and you can use that for a lot of things. If Curry hears a loud noise, he can patrol, he can investigate and send you the image back to your smartphone. Do you see how he walked around the shoes? So he makes a map as he wanders around. He has a patrol mode. He makes a map of your home and figures out where everything is. You can name it. So you can say, Curry, go to the kitchen. Curry, go into the living room. Curry, go look out the window and see what's going on in the yard. Curry, see if the dog's on the couch. And he'll know where all those things are. But he'll also respond in real time to changes. So he'll walk around you or objects in his way. He can sense it. He'll never fall down the stairs. He is smart enough, he has edge detection, not to go downstairs. He can't go downstairs. He can go over, though, a variety of sills and bumps and everything. In fact, we were at the Curry lab and saw all the different things that they had taught Curry to go over, because he has like tank treads underneath his feet. He's got 4 array mics in there, micro electronic machines. They're MEMS mics. And it's kind of like the Amazon Echo. He can hear, he can tell direction, he can follow a conversation. So if you're standing, I'm telling you, it's so weird. He's got very good speakers, by the way, stereo speakers in his base, so he can play sound. This is I'm telling you, your kids will experience Curry and they will say, I remember when we got our first robot? Do you remember Curry? Oh, he was so cool. This is their first robot, and it's your first robot, and he does so many useful things, and he's doing more all the time. That Curry, there's Curry. That's the sounds. They're not going to come out with this till later this year. So if you want to get in line to order a Curry, right now you can go and put down a $100 refundable deposit. It's completely refundable, and pre-order. On delivery, $5.99 remaining, excluding taxes and shipping. And that's probably in the fall or maybe even around Christmas time of next year, because Curry's hardware complete at this point, but they're doing some refinement, and now they're working on software. And I talked with Adam and the team down there and talked about the software he's developing. Adam worked on a Curry idle routine so that Curry will just stand around and look around. He has a little charging base, and he'll walk back when he gets low. He walks back to his charging base and charges up. He can walk around for a few hours in between charges. But you know, they talk about things Curry does, but also the things Curry doesn't. He doesn't creep you out. He doesn't. It's hard. There's the uncanny valley. He has a little heart light that lights up. I'm kind of okay, you can tell. I'm kind of in love with Curry.
It sounds really cool. I'm staying with some friends, and they have a wooden box on the porch that's filled with nuts. And so, because while they're eating breakfast, they just like to see squirrels just sort of come up, help themselves to breakfast. It's like an electronic squirrel.
Exactly. It's a nut-free squirrel.
Like an electronic squirrel that lives in your house that you just watch it. Oh, right. Look, Curry. Oh, that's nice.
Exactly.
As you're eating.
It's, you know what? I realized, because our dog passed away, and I realized how quiet the house felt without our little companion. Yep. And it's very much like that. I think that he's going to replace, I think it's weird, but he's going to replace Ozzy.
Can't possibly replace.
No.
There's a hole in your heart that only that dog can fill.
Oh, absolutely. But at the same time, the house won't feel empty, because Curry's kind of there, and there's this presence. It's kind of, I don't know, you got to try it. You can find out more about Curry at their website. It's K-U-R-I. Go to HeyCurry, HeyKuri.com. You can pre-order there right now. Again, it's refundable, $100 to get in line. I cannot wait. They promised us we'd get one of the first Currys off the line, and I cannot wait to get a Curry around the studio. It's just really sweet. All right. Thank you, Mayfield Robotics, for creating Curry and for supporting our show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to play the Game of Geeks.
Welcome to Game of Geeks. It's the Twitch show where we test the tech knowledge three worthy contestants, and well, we've got a show for you. Starting on my far side, you may remember this man from such hits as, well, Twit and This Week in Startups. It's Mr. Jason Calacanis. He's an angel investor, host of This Week in Startups, and a potential candidate, the mayor or the governor of...
Mr. Mayor.
Any of those possible. MayorJason.com is the current...
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
It's the current...
Jason, thank you very much for joining us.
Term.
That's a long time. I may go in for 1 year and then appoint somebody.
To balance out Mr. Calacanis, we had to bring in a nice Brit, a man from across the pond, Mr. Iain Thomson. He's a journalist for The Register. He's a Brit living in the colonies. Iain, what are you doing in this table?
Trying to make sure that, when the Queen takes back control, then, there's people here just to guide her on the way and say they don't particularly like warm beer, and getting them to spell colour properly is going to be a real tough job.
So you're a scout? Scout.
I
spy?
No, a spy. Me, James Bond, me, come on.
And the man to my right needs no introduction, Mr. Leo Laporte. That's right, folks. He's putting it all on the line, competing against some of the highest powered tech people in the Silicon Valley.
Actually, my reputation is on the line.
Yeah, this is for all the marbles.
Hey, I just feel like,
glad you finally brought me some competition.
Gentlemen, this is a very easy game. What we're going to do is we're going to play a little game called Touch My Tech.
Okay, wait a minute. I am definitely needing the blindfold for that.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous about putting the blindfold on.
As you should be. I am a Catholic priest. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. You're going to put these blindfolds on. We're going to set down a piece of technology in each and every single one of you. You're going to have 30 seconds from go to find out what it is. Feel it. Okay. Just move it around in your hands. Get the tactile sense. And then we're going to go to the next round. And each and every single time, we're going to give you a clue. And that is the category.
It feels like an iPod.
it's a Brit iPod.
My wife is watching this.
Are we clear on the rules?
Actually, I felt like a monopod. But
without further ado, we're going to open up our chest of tech booty. And we're going to start. This first category is game controllers. So without further ado, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, this feels rather familiar.
What do you feel, Leo?
Well, it's definitely recognizable as a console gaming device, but
me too.
It's a little smaller than the current crop, so I'm going to say it's a little older.
Okay, what about you, Jason? What's yours feel like?
Mine is a controller as well. It's from the mid-era, and it's not an Xbox controller. I'm gonna think this is a Nintendo controller.
Hey, if it's gone, it's amazing.
It's gone. Now these are worth 10 points each, but there is partial credit awarded if you can get close. So we're gonna start with Jason. Jason, if you could tell me.
Well, it's a Nintendo controller.
Okay, Nintendo, but there were a lot of Nintendos. Okay. I'll give you 5 points for that.
Yeah,
had a lot of buttons. I'm gonna say Nintendo 64.
A Nintendo 64, very, very close. Nintendo GameCube, that's 5 points to Jason.
That was tough.
That was tough.
I didn't get that one.
Wait, woman, we demand a lot from our contestants here on Game of Geeks.
Okay.
Now, Iain, you had something that was a little bit different.
It did feel very much like an Xbox 360 controller.
He's good.
Okay, well, I would give you 5 points.
Oh.
Okay.
But you did call out 360, so you don't get the full 10 because it was actually an Xbox One. But very good. Very well done.
Subtle differences.
Very subtle differences.
We see a theme now.
So my question is, I know I had the Xbox controller, but did I have the 360? Or, as I suspected, the original Xbox controller? Don't look at like that, Brian, because that means it was a PlayStation controller. I'm going to stay with the original Xbox controller.
Were there
That's my
4
guess.
buttons or?
Okay, very close.
Was it PlayStation?
It was just like an Xbox controller, except made by Sony.
It was a little.
It was Sony's version of the Xbox.
It was pointy.
You get half a point.
Oh God, I should have gotten that's the current PlayStation controller.
Very close,
-5.
but nobody got full points in that round. Okay. So at the end of the first round, our point total stands: Jason Calacanis with 5 points, Iain with 5 points, and Leo currently with zip. Gentlemen, your clue for this round is phones. So you're going to have a phone.
We'd never have guessed it from the device. I'm
sure that would have been.
What is this?
Wow, what a hint.
Like a square piece of glass.
And in 3, 2, 1, reach for your tech.
Oh, great.
Describe it.
This is
so easy.
This is
Thank you, whoever gave me this.
ancient.
Hey, are you helping this guy?
This is
Okay, we got 10 seconds. So obviously Jason thinks he has it. Leo is really adoring his phone.
I might be wrong here, though.
This is hard. This
Ian
one's
looks
actually very hard.
Multiple people have built this.
Two
There's
and
a
one.
lot of
and-
hardware that felt like that.
Gentlemen, tech down on the table, please. If Vanna White could please collect the technology. If you could take off your blindfolds.
That was hard because a lot of companies made a phone that looked just like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although one.
I'm going to
Leo,
say
let's start with
is
you.
it's obviously a flip phone from an earlier era. Didn't have a retractable antenna though.
Oh.
So that kind of
Takes out a
whole generation, right?
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
I'm going to say it's a Motorola phone and it's probably Sprint.
Oh, actually, yes, it was the Motorola, and I'll give you 5 points for that.
Do I need the model number?
If you can give me a...
Come on!
the phone?
Oh, it's a 560T,
obviously. If you were to think of what would be the most popular flip phone from
It's a
Motorola,
Razr.
There we go, gentlemen. Leo Laporte with 10 points.
Wow,
gave me
Padre
that
just
one.
gave his
He
boss
gave me those points.
Unbelievable.
But you're not
I know who's signing the checks now.
Now,
Hey, I
let's-
got Motorola. That pretty much
Yeah.
narrows
Wait,
it down to
wait,
Razr,
we have to
right?
go to the nice contestant.
okay,
now.
here we
Very
go.
old. You can set start at.
There we
but
go.
Yeah.
Ian,
There
you
was
did,
Star
you
Trek,
did
but
have an
didn't have
iconic phone as
antennas.
well.
Iconic.
Yeah.
I
You
never heard
see,
that brand.
A, it's an old phone. The round volume buttons. I'm possibly thinking original iPhone.
Can you guess the
It's
generation?
not the original.
He already said the original.
That's true, you did. So
I did
You
say
get
the
5
original.
points. So 5
That's
points,
hard. It's
Ian.
probably a 3GS. I mean, it's like...
That actually was difficult because a lot of iPhones.
They all were pretty much the
Yeah.
same.
It was just too. It was slightly too thick, and I was kind of.
It's the plastic on the back that's the giveaway.
Currently, Leo and Ian are tied for first.
Okay.
I think that's about to change. Jason.
Well,
It's all up to you. You can
mine
go
was
ahead.
you flipped it open and you got a keyboard. There were many knockoffs of the Sidekick.
Yeah.
But I have to believe it's not the Nokia or any of those other knockoffs, that it's the original Sidekick.
I bet it was the HTC G1.
I say Sidekick. I'm going to stick with
I didn't even touch it.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Jason.
Yeah.
I will award you half a point for handing Leo a half a point earlier. Actually, Leo was right. That was the HTC.
It felt a lot like the Sidekick as a slide-out keyboard.
You basically give a guy a
No, you know what? We're going to
Sidekick
give you points just because
knockoff,
he gave
and
you
then he gets the iPhone, and he gets a
Gentlemen,
Motorola.
It's everyone's game. Tied at
Tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker.
Let's go to the round 3.
I mean,
This is the
give the guy
Internet of Things.
Atari 2600.
In 3, 2, and 1.
Oh,
Come on. I could disassemble this in my sleep.
oh, wait a second.
Okay, here we go. Describe what you're feeling.
Well, what I
I'm
have
feeling
is a
great.
round dial. It has a pad on it that sticks to the table. So with this round dial,
5
with the
seconds.
resistance, I originally, but now I know what it is.
All right. And
because of the port
tech
technique.
down. And Leo, please do not eat the tech.
It burns.
Ian, we
okay.
actually, you did get the most difficult piece of tech to identify of that round. So,
Well, let's see. It had an
what do you think?
HDMI port on one end, circular device. I'm going with a Chromecast.
Okay, 5 points for that. I'll give you an additional 5 points if you could tell me what generation Chromecast.
Current generation.
Yes,
Later.
there you go, gentlemen.
Oh, wow.
10 points for Ian. Very well
Wow, that's pretty strong.
Very good. Very
well
good.
done.
Wow,
my
with the
goodness.
dongle.
Oh, yes, the yellow one.
He's got
It's
the dongle and
notable.
everything.
It's noticeable.
Let's go to Jason. Jason, you had the
I have the
roundest
Amazon
thing.
Echo Dot.
Oh, okay. No suspense there whatsoever. 10 points for Jason.
Well, it's pretty obvious. I'll tell you why. I thought because of the spin,
There's only one thing it could be.
it was a Nest.
Yeah.
But then I felt the 2 buttons, and I know the Nest doesn't have the micro USB.
So
it's
there's
obviously
only
an
one
Amazon Echo
question
Dot.
in my mind. It's either the Nest Cam or the Drop Cam. I have to figure out which generation, thereby
There we go.
which naming.
Oh, so you can get
Very
5
good.
or not.
That's already
I-
5 points. So he's got 5 points.
I'm going to say it's the original Drop Cam and not a Nest Cam.
Actually, yes, that is true. You get full points to
Nicely
Leo.
done.
Drop Cam HD.
Everyone
Three-way
gets
tie.
full points.
We're gonna need to. All right, you know
But
what? We'll
it's-
put the
I'm just-
mask back
I was
on.
saying, is it
Each
a
of you
Nest
put
Cam
your
or a
phones
Drop
on the
Cam?
table, and then.
Okay,
we'll
wait,
do
no,
that.
we are going one more round, gentlemen.
We
One
got a
more
tiebreaker.
round. These are media formats, gentlemen. Media formats.
I
So
think I
if
have
you
an
could,
MP4.
Blind evening.
seconds on the clock
Oh, this
and
is
go.
definitely an FLV.
Oh.
What the hell?
Oh.
No way. Hang on.
We weren't gonna make it easy.
Son of a bitch. Oh God.
13 seconds.
Am I actually supposed to take this apart? Or am I going to bugger it up?
Okay.
5 seconds to go.
This does not feel like a 3.5.
I think Leo kind of knows it. We're going to start with Mr. Calacanis.
It was a zip disk.
Whoa!
Indeed, it was a zip disk. That's a full 10 points.
How many megabytes? Just for extra bonus points, how many megabytes?
On those days, I think it was 500. Yeah, I think
Was it 100? I think it was
100 or a 50 or a 10. I don't know.
Now, Ian, we're going to have to go with you.
This is where I crash and burn, but I suspect it was a Nintendo games cartridge.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Okay, actually, I will give you 10 points, but I will give you an additional 5 points
game
if you can
was
tell me which Nintendo.
I mean, think about this. We all got every device. It's a pretty strong group.
We're good at this.
Yeah.
We fondled a lot of tech.
We found a lot of tech.
You get 100 points if you can tell me what game it was.
Donkey Kong.
E.T.
DS?
Just
No,
say Mario.
very good.
Just say Mario. It was Mario.
Good call. It was actually a Super Nintendo, but it was a game
Super
cartridge.
Nintendo.
Now,
And it
Leo,
was
Mine's
a
tricky.
Mario.
Mine's tricky. I know
Yes.
it's obviously a video cassette. It's a DV. I'm going to say it's the. It's a tough one because it could be the micro. I think it's the mini. It's a mini DV video cassette.
full points, 10 points for mini DV, but
Look at this.
we'll give you 5 additional points.
Sony.
What was it?
What's on it?
Actually, it was a Sony.
Winner! 5 bonus points.
Gentlemen,
People don't know that the Sony micro DVD.
Well, it turns out
this is an amazing turn of events. We do not have to do a tiebreaker because of the bonus points. Leo Laporte is actually the winner of the Game of Geeks.
Fixed. So fixed.
Of course, the traditional crown that goes to the winner of the Game of Geeks. Mr. Leo Laporte, may you take this crown and rule ruthlessly. All rise. Here we go.
Four-lock fucking game.
We'll see you. We'll see you next time on Father Robert Ballecer. This has been the Game of Geeks. Remember, either you win the Game of Geeks or we ask you to come back again.
Good thing we turned off the chat room.
I feel totally guilty about that. That was clearly I stole that.
Why are you still wearing that crown? That is a dope crown.
Yeah,
I'd be still wearing that right now.
So bad to wear that crown. It's just like I had a mark on my head for 3 days after we played. Anyway, thanks to our contestants, Jason Calacanis of Inside.com, Iain Thomson of theregister.co.uk, and our genial master of ceremonies, Father Robert Ballecer, the digital Jesuit, for doing that. Would you like to do a call for help?
I would love to do a call for help.
Let's do it.
I feel as though I'm faking my way through everything. And I'm going to get
That's
caught
how it works.
anytime. Oh,
That's
wait.
how it works.
Sorry.
You shouldn't say that out loud.
I should have read the card.
Yes. Scott in Gladstone, Oregon on the line. Hello, Scott. Uh-oh. Can't hear him. Hello, Scott.
Hi, Leo. How are you doing?
All right. Oh, I love this now. His T-shirt, it looks like it's maybe out from Colossal Cave. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
A sword.
Yep.
Which game is that from?
Legend of Zelda, the original
Legend
from the
of
NES.
Zelda.
That's that's particularly savage because the pixelated sword will leave such a jagged cut they will never be able to close it before he bleeds out. That man is
Can
bad.
I make a terrible confession? Never played Zelda in any form. Which one should I start with? I know the new switch they call it. The Nintendo's going to have Zelda on it. That's like Zelda 18 or something. Start with the original?
I would start the original or go with the Ocarina of Time, which is one of the legendary ones.
That's the Ocarina of Time is one everybody talks about, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I'll have to play. Scott, what can we do for you?
Well, I restarted an old hobby of mine of photography. I used to play with a 1970s era Pentax, and now I've got a Nikon D3300. Great camera. It's been great to learn off of that again, but I've been having issues with landscapes. I have two lenses that are just squaring everything off, and I can't get a full-fledged picture from it when it gets a little bit more, wider view.
You know, our photographer friend Chris Marquardt, who's on the radio show on a regular basis, said it's kind of conventional wisdom that you want to shoot landscapes with a wide-angle lens. And he said, but not always. Sometimes a telephoto lens, because of the way it flattens layers, you have to kind of be sensitive to what you're taking a picture of. And it may be that there isn't one perfect landscape lens. But I want to ask you, Scott, about when you say, what's happening? It's cutting off the edges, or what's going on?
I'm not able to get a full picture. Like I'll have a giant a cliffside, and I'll have waterfall right here, and there's another area where I want to get to, and it's just not fitting the whole picture.
Yeah,
without me having to walk
everybody's used to that, right? Because we can see almost 180 degrees. Most lenses aren't going to. And if it were, it'd be fisheye, and everything would be all curved and weird. Yeah. So what do you do if you encounter a landscape?
Like, are you unsatisfied with taking a series of pictures and stitching them together?
Panorama.
Those work really
Yeah,
great.
I'm trying to avoid editing. That's where I'm trying.
A lot of cameras nowadays will do an in-camera panorama. The Sonys, that I shoot a lot of with the A7s, those you set it on panorama and it tells you and that's it. There's no editing. It comes out with actually a very good job. Of course, your camera phone will do that.
Yeah, but can I ask you, is this a challenge you're giving yourself that it all has to be one exposure
shot
and you're done, or is there a reason why you don't want to do any editing?
You might have to.
I take more pictures of, mountains, landscapes, pictures of waterfalls, and I don't want to edit and mess up the beauty of what I took a picture of.
Okay, that's definitely a way to go. I mean, and there are a lot of people who do commit to that. My thing is that even regular photographs, they don't look like how I remember them, because memory is emotional. And so only when I spend even 10 minutes with it in Lightroom do I remember, yes, that's how sharp the clouds were. Yes, that's how green the grass was, even not super bright, calling people's attention to the things that really got me thinking that this would make a great picture. Do you think that it would be cheating to edit?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when has a sunset, you nailed it, it's emotional. When has a sunset ever matched your experience of the sunset in camera? It almost always is disappointing when you take a picture of a sunset. You know what, I think we're gonna have to bring in the expert. Dale Baskin, I always wanted to do this.
I happen to have Dale Baskin right here.
He's right here.
Go and tell him.
Tell him what you think of his theory.
Well, it is interesting what you just said about you never quite capture the emotion on film or on a digital camera. And part of that is because you're not capturing the essence of the place. You're not capturing the smells, the feel of the wind. And it's all connected to how you remember the image.
And your eyes do something completely different from a camera.
Yes, of course, your eyes see the dynamic range differently. You can actually emulate that very effective with the right camera, with the right sensor. It does take a little post-processing to pull it off, but you can get very close today.
What is the widest angle lens? I mean, to do what he wants to do, you need a wider angle lens. First of all, are we 160 degrees? I mean, I don't know. For one thing, you think you're seeing stuff in your periphery that you're really not seeing, that your brain's reconstructing from your head moving around and saccading. But what do we see? 160 degrees, 140, 120 degrees?
No, I actually don't know the exact number, but you're definitely correct. You probably have, I'm guessing, 45 degrees in the middle where you really do see a lot of detail.
We don't see color in our peripheral vision, but we add color.
We see more detail in the center.
Yeah.
Basically, your brain has its own version of context-aware fill in Photoshop. And that's exactly what it is.
What's the widest one could shoot with without getting it to look weird and fishy?
Well, you can actually go very wide these days. One of the challenges in this particular situation is the camera involved is what we call an APS-C sensor camera. The sensor is a little bit smaller than a full-frame camera, and so we need a really wide-angle lens in order to capture those wide angles.
The D3300 has something like a 2.5 multiplier?
Yeah, it's a 1.5.
1.5.
It's a 1.5.
So if you bought a 24 millimeter lens, it would be effectively 1.5 more, which is 36, right? So if you bought a 10, it would effectively be 15. So you
and there's a number of lenses that are actually really good for this. You were talking earlier about zoom lenses. They're very good now. Nikon has a 10 to 25 millimeter lens, if I remember correctly. It gets out really wide at the 10 millimeter end. But it's also useful to consider that third parties make great lenses too. Tamron, Tokina, Sigma. All of these companies make fantastic lenses. They all have something in that 10 to 20 millimeter range. I might even call out the Tokina because if I remember correctly, it has a constant f2.8 aperture as well, which is really nice if you're shooting in low light.
Yeah. Here's the Sigma on B&H for 450. This is the one for the D3300. It's f3.5, 10 to 20. So that's relatively fast. It's landscapes, so you don't have to have a super fast
you don't
lens.
worry about fast lenses. This is an area in which I would go for if I really wanted to make that my thing. That's a great time to spend. I'm going to buy a really good piece of glass.
Right.
You bought a great camera. I think the 3300 is a really great balance between it's not super expensive, it's kind of consumer oriented, but it's a good light box, has great features, and it saves you money so that you can buy that $1,000 lens that you're trembling as you're clicking the buy it now button. But as soon as you start taking pictures with it, even especially if you don't want to edit that much, that's when you realize that, oh, this was my first really good lens. This is an $800 lens, and that's the first, when I started shooting with this, it's like,
makes you feel good, doesn't it?
So this is, I click the button, and that's the first 43 minutes of work in Photoshop I don't have to do because it's a quality lens.
A good lens. There's nothing like good glass. The other thing is, and this is kind of against your mandate not to do too much editing, but you are going to get curvature as you get wider and wider, and all good editing software, the one that came with your camera or Adobe's Lightroom or Photoshop, will have a curvature correction that will flatten it out and get you, in effect, a wider picture than you would get normally.
But it's an interesting challenge you set for yourself. I think that you become a better photographer by committing to an idea until you feel you've outgrown it or getting to the next level of it. I do want to say that I have to share that there was a really influential book I read as a kid that made me enjoy photography a lot more. Ansel Adams, the legendary landscape photographer, wrote a huge series of books explaining his theories about photography. And one of his books is just called Examples. And he takes about 30 of his most famous pictures and just walks you through not just, the temperature of the water bath was this. It's like, here's the picture I had in my head. I knew that there were 3 different places I could go to get it. So here's what it was like to go out and get there. Once I was there, it wasn't the way I saw it, but I saw this other thing. And then he takes you to, here's what I was thinking while I was exposing it. And then when I was developing in the darkroom, thinking about here's all the work that I had to do in order to make it match what I had in my head. So it opened my eyes as a kid to realize that you don't just stand in front of this cool thing and click the shutter and then wait 2 days later to get your prints back from the drugstore. It really is a process that starts with being at your house and having an idea and ends with the picture I got is not what I want, but I can make the picture the picture I captured into the picture I imagined. So it's a very inspirational book for me.
Scott, clearly you're among friends here, 3 guys who share your love of photography. And, I agree. That's the kind of great landscape shots, the kind of thing you put up on the wall, right? But just remember that picture, the aspect ratio of that picture isn't wide. It's kind of like this. If you were to get it to incorporate that whole scene, everything would be really tiny because, right? Because, so unless you're willing to do a really wide aspect ratio, I want to show you one other thing that somebody in the chat room is saying, one thing that's going to be critical is matching the color. And I carry this with me. I actually carry it in my wallet, but a lot of people would carry this in their camera bag. And it's a little card, and when you first start shooting in an environment, this little card has white, black, and neutral gray. You put this in your first shot, and that's going to give you a white balance point that you can then, I know you don't want to use Lightroom, but afterwards use the dropper in Photoshop or Lightroom, and this is neutral gray, this is white, and you can get it to exactly have the proper white balance. Better probably than the camera will. So I have this in my pocket at all times. It actually came from a company called Lightbox that does little photography cards. They sent me it, and I've been, I used to carry one around my neck all the time. That's what a photo nerd I was.
Another thing maybe to think about composition, where maybe you can put more things in the foreground as you compose that will kind of fill out the scene better, so it really looks like it's organic. It's not just being cut off, but here is the box that you're shooting in. It's really great that you're thinking these ways, because solving problems is a way to open up your eye and have imagination that you didn't come factory installed with.
Well, and this is a great driving force. I want to get that landscape to look like it felt right? That's a great One more thing, tripod. Handheld you can do, and you can put it on a rock, but if you want a great landscape, the crispness and the clarity is really important, and that's going to mean getting it on a tripod so it's absolutely still, and you can do a longer exposure that way, and a lot of times with the landscape, a longer exposure helps. Also consider HDR, because for instance, a sunset, you've got the sun, it's very bright, you've got the beach or the land there, it's dark, and you want to get a picture that can encompass all of it. Again, this is why people use Lightroom. You want to put together multiple images with multiple exposures so that you can get one image that looks like your eye saw. Your eye automatically adjusts for the sun and then adjusts for the ground, but the camera can't do that.
I'm loving this conversation because it's just bringing all these different experiences that I've had back to my mind. Like simple things like just knowing that I'm in a this was happened like last summer where I'm in a coffee shop and I rode my bike over there and then it starts boom, really hard, horrible thunderstorm. And I'm like, oh goodness, I'm glad I'm like inside here, and not like out in that rain. And then I suddenly realized, remember like 3 weeks ago, you were in this where you thought was a really scenic place nearby and you shot this landscape, it wasn't really good. When this thunderstorm is over, there are going to be huge anvil clouds, and it's going to be about 30 minutes before sun. So I actually got on my bike. All I had was my phone, got soaking wet, went back to that place, and with my phone took one of my favorite landscapes ever, only because I thought that, oh, thunderclouds, this is going to make it interesting.
That's that pre-visualization that's really important. Dale, anything else you want to tell Scott about in terms of getting a great landscape photo?
No, I think you guys have covered it really well. The one other thing I'll throw in there is if your camera shoots RAW, and the D3300 certainly does, you really do benefit by shooting in RAW instead of JPEG because you get files with a lot more bit depth. You can do things like pull up the shadows, you can push the colors, pull down the highlights, and you have a lot more latitude to do that than if you lock things into a baked file. So
true, and a good camera like the 3300, that single raw image usually has enough information to really do HDR. You don't have to take multiple images. But again, I have a feeling what you're hearing from us, Scott, is you're going to have to do some post-processing.
Well, again, it's an interesting challenge he set for himself.
Yeah. No post-processing.
You change when you realize that when you feel like I can't bust through this problem, I've got to change something.
That's how you learn.
And if you're an idiot like me, it's like, let's see, I have a $1,000 camera. Maybe I should think about getting a $2,000 camera. What's on DP review they've just done?
That's what always happens.
Ooh, there's a $7,000 Leica.
Hey, Dale Baskin, thanks for sticking around. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Leo.
DPreview.com. Scott, does that help? Anything else you'd like to know?
Just would I get away with using GIMP instead of Photoshop? I do have a Linux computer, so it would be more easier.
It's the only negative on the GIMP, which is the GNU image manipulation program, is that it's harder to use. Its user interface is a little more opaque. But I think a lot of people look at Photoshop and find that opaque. Yeah. If you spend the time to learn the GIMP, absolutely, it's a pretty amazing program. Yeah, it'll do anything that any of these other programs can do. The only issue would be, and I'm sure that this is the case, that it has a raw image processor, because when if you shoot RAW, it's just the data off the sensor. Every camera company has a different format for their RAW formats, and in order to work on it, you have to have a plugin that will take the RAW file and render it in a way that you can look at it on the screen, because it doesn't look the same if you just put that image on the thing. It's black and white and weird, and you need to have a raw image processor, and I don't, just check to see if the GIMP has one for the 3300.
And there are a bunch of open source raw image processors, and that might even be a place where you just want to buy an actual commercial third-party app, because those are the things.
Just to import.
Yeah, exactly, because it's cool stuff.
Yeah. Hey, it's great to talk to you. I think you send us an image when you get an image that you feel good about. Send it to us. I'd love to see it.
Excellent. I definitely will.
Thanks. And I will be playing the Ocarina of Time to prepare for the Switch. Thank you, Scott. It's good to talk to you.
Nice talking to you, too.
Take care. You want to be on the show next week? Megan Morrone's here. Get your iOS questions ready. Here's how you can ask them.
Need tech help? The new screensavers are here with answers. Email your tech questions to newscreensavers@twit.tv.
Actually, and I'll talk about this on the next Mac Break Weekly. They're Mac Fun, those guys who do such great. They do Aurora, which is Trey Ratcliffe's image HDR program. They have a brand new photo editor. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I've been using it for a couple of weeks.
It's amazing. We'll show it on Mac Break Weekly, and you and I can fight over whose pick of the week it's going to be. But it's there it is. It's Luminar, and it's $50. But you can try it for free. Very fun to use, and that is, I would say, it's everything except the file management stuff of Lightroom. It's got all it's got layers, it's got curves, it's got all the sliders and filters. The only thing missing is that Lightroom's really good at also managing all the archive stuff.
I actually use Aurora HDR even when I don't necessarily want to do dramatic.
Yes.
I will take photos that come right off of my phone, and my phone is just a mid-range Android phone, and that will help me to find. And by the time I've twiddled with it for about 10 minutes, it's like I still wish I had an iPhone 7, but I wish I had an iPhone 7 not nearly as much as I did before I started twiddling with it in Aurora. And it's just a picture of a friend.
Yeah.
It's not a.
Yeah. Don't eschew post-processing. Is that the second time I've used eschew in this show? I think it's time for me to take a break. Let's take a break, and we're going to come back. We're doing something very cool next week. I wanted to give you a heads up. If you like music, next week we're going to have the CEO of a company called Group Muse as our guest. Group Muse, you may already know if you're a musician. It's a social this is wild. It's a social network that pairs musicians and hosts to create classical music house party concerts. So we're going to have a Group Muse here in the studio next Saturday. Cellist James Jaffe is going to be performing during and after the show. If you want to join us, we would love to have you. Here's the sign up, twit.to/groupmuse, our new Screensavers Group Muse. We're going to have a live classical music house party next week. The musicians are paid by the audience. Now, normally they ask you for a $10 minimum payment, but we're going to cover that. So if you want to come, don't worry, you don't have to give them a donation. We will cover the donation. But if you'd like to give a donation, if you give a donation of $5, we'll give you a Twit mug as a thank you. So you can come, you can hear music, you can even play music, you can get a Twit mug, and we'll give the donation to Group Muse. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Sign up you have to be able to come to Petaluma next Saturday, though. twit.to/groupmuse. twit.to/groupmuse. What is that, February 3rd? 4th? Okay, February 4th. Up next, Megan has a review of a physical marble maze that you design and turn into a VR experience. This is wild. It's a VR game that starts with a physical maze. But first, I want to tell you about Blue Apron. I love Blue Apron. Last thing in the world you want to do at the end of a long day is plan a meal, shop for a meal, and cook a meal. Blue Apron makes it so much easier. Instead of going to Jack in the Box one more time, go home and there on your doorstep is that refrigerated Blue Apron box. 3 different meals in there, all the ingredients to make them fresh and delicious. Even the meats and the fish, they're all fresh, refrigerated, not frozen. And every ingredient you need. If you need a pat of butter, what do you get? A pat of butter. Not a whole stick. You get exactly what you need, so there's no waste. And then you also get these great 8.5 by 11 cards with the whole recipe and pictures so that you can do it in 40 minutes or less. Make an amazing meal for your family or friends. They've got a 2-person plan, a family plan, delicious food, great stuff that comes from local farms, local fisheries, and ranchers across the United States. Sustainable, delicious food that costs. Now, this is what I love. I thought this got to cost more, right? I'm going to pay for the convenience of this. No, it actually, grocery stores are 60% more expensive. Blue Apron costs less because they don't have a big store and rent and clerks and all of the stuff that involves. They just ship it straight to you. So it is very affordable, under $10 per meal. I want you to try it. Spicy shrimp and Korean rice cakes with cabbage and furikake, pork chops and garlic piccata with scallion rice and spinach. Just go to the menu at blueapron.com. It's different every week. They never repeat more than once a year. So you're always going to get something great. And once you've cooked it, you can do it again. What is that? Cumin-crusted pork with fig and blood orange pan sauce. I want that. Seared chicken and pan sauce with apple, kale, and potato hash. Crispy barramundi. Now, you may never have had barramundi, but it is a wonderful fish. And you can have that. Now, you choose what you want. You never have to get anything you don't want. You set the delivery schedule so you don't have to ever worry about a box coming when you're not there. And you're going to get delicious stuff. Yes, they have vegetarian meals as well. BlueApron.com. Your first 3 meals are free if you go to BlueApron.com/NSS. BlueApron.com/NSS. Bad news, Alaska and Hawaii. They only deliver to the continental United States. I'm sorry. But if you're in the continental United States, you got to try it. BlueApron.com/NSS. It's a better way to cook. Now, watch this. This is really, remember, everybody in their basement had that game where you turn the knobs and the ball goes like this in the maze. Remember that? No.
Yes. That was your basic, I don't know what to get my uncle and my aunt for Christmas. I'm at the mall. They've got the Christmas store. This costs $8 done. It's pre-wrapped.
I thought everybody grew up with this thing. Anyway, imagine turning that into a VR game. Here's Megan Morrone with a review of Seeding's Maze.
VR for kids. Is it amazing? Is it the future? You better get used to it. It's the next best thing. Or is it bad for kids? Kids should be playing outside. They should be playing with real toys, touching and feeling things in real life, not virtual reality. Well, like many things, I think it's a bit of both. It's good and bad. And I think that is what Seedling was thinking when they invented the Maze. This is a virtual reality toy that's an actual toy as well. So the Maze comes with this physical box, and it comes with papers with dots in them that you push out the little holes. And those little holes are traps for the marbles that it comes with. And it comes with a bunch of blocks where you can make your own maze. It also comes with adhesive that you stick to the blocks on the paper so that it stays in place when it gets hit by the marble. It also comes with these stickers, the beginning and the end of the maze stickers. So then you get to play your maze. This is my least favorite part of the product. It's a little bit flimsy and it's hard to navigate, but having a toy that's hard to play with, to master, isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's the real world. Now let's go to the virtual world. So you've made your maze, and then you take a smartphone. There's an app in Android or iOS. Then you scan the maze. And then you can either play the maze on your phone, or you can use any cardboard viewer you have. If you have a Pixel and you have the Daydream View, you can use that as well. And then you're inside the maze. You can move around your body and your head in order to navigate through the maze. It's really cool. This is the most interesting part, I think. It's fun to get to be inside the maze that you created and really see the connection between something that you made and something that you're playing in virtual reality. And I like that about the toy. So part of what Seedling is trying to do is make the VR crafty. So it sells these cardboard kits, $30, and you can decorate it with stickers or paints or glue different things on there. So you can get crafty with your VR viewer if you're into that. If you have a kid who is obsessed with VR and has been bugging you to get an Oculus or a PlayStation VR or a Vive, this might be a better place to start at only $60. That's a lot less. And also, if you want your kids to stay grounded and play with toys that are physical in the real world, this might be good for them too. I'm Megan Morrone. I host iOS Today every Monday and Tech News Today every Monday through Friday.
That one I got.
That's a keeper.
That one's a keeper. I got a good shot of Andy in his natural pose, the dignified man. Thank you, Megan Morrone. That looked kind of cool. I'd like to do that. VR is really very interesting. So you got your camera, I got my camera.
If you got a camera, I got to have a camera too.
Yeah, we got to all take pictures here. Yeah. This one is on 120 millimeter film. I don't know, but I got a good kind of shot of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the world that we're living in right now. That I already had a thing in the camera before, and as I was packing, I was thinking that it's probably I needed an hour to make sure I back up everything off this and clear it off. Then I realized that for $4 and an extra $16, I can just buy 64 gigabytes of extra storage and not have to deal with that problem.
There you go. That's what I do. Yeah.
That's not a thing I would have heard myself say 20 years ago.
No, because it was thousands of dollars back then. All right, let us get to the mailbag, if we will. Thank you, Tanya. I always want to call you Tanya Harding. Thank you, Tanya Hall. Oh, look at this. You know what? Jerry brought this in, Jerry Wagler, one of our producers. This is his Super 8 camera, and he tells me that there's still some film in it. So I don't even know how these work. Let's see. I don't know. Let's take some. Let me shoot some. Huh? The button broke. It might work or it might not.
Oh, it's a movie. Is it a movie camera? Should I be moving around?
This is Super 8. This is coming back too. Didn't they announce they're going to be making Super 8 film again?
Somebody did.
Wow. It's kind of fun. I
don't know how to feel about that. I'm glad the nostalgia. I'm glad people like to use what they like. But I have a Holga camera, and I liked it. And halfway through this third roll of film,
it's too much work.
Exactly.
Just too much work. Pick a email. Any email. You can start. No, I'll start. This is from Charlie. And actually, we got both of them because we knew you were here. We got both of them for Apple people because you're the expert. Hi, I'm trying to send my songs from my old Apple account to my new Apple account. Is there a way to copy and paste those songs into the new account? I have about $3,000 invested, and I can't afford to buy them all over again. Thank you very much, Charlie. You know, one thing I should say that is a little disappointing about this digital era, you can buy songs for 99 cents. They're available. You don't have to get up and go to the record store or anything. But your ownership of them is tenuous. For instance, you can't hand them to your descendants if you pass away. They, even without DRM, they have your email address in the song. At least that's how Apple does it. And if you move accounts, so it sounds, I mean, normally you could open them without any problem unless there's copy protection in there, right? Then you have to authorize it.
Right.
So what can he do?
If you have things that are locked in with copy protection, the classic way of solving that problem is going to be just even if you don't have iTunes Match, costs what, $25?
That's what I would
buy it, because but what happens is that it will match the song in the iTunes library and then go to another Mac that doesn't have a library on it, sign in, and then you will actually be able to download your entire collection DRM free at the highest possible rate. So it's basically, even if you ripped a CD 10 years ago at like IBM PC XT resolution, it will replace it with a beautiful 320K MP.
That's nice.
Copy. So that's the classic way of doing it. In general, if you have, I'm not going to, let's just put it this way: if there's copy protection, if a burglar broke in, applied copy protection to audio that you wish to not have the copy protection on, and because it's the burglar who did it, you have a right to this stuff. It's oral history of your grandparents, and again, ooh, why is this plays for sure on this? Get Audio Hijack. It's a utility that will simply record any audio being generated by any app anywhere on the Mac. It works. It's such a great audio utility for anything. So you play it back through iTunes, and iTunes in playing it back has really unlocked it, and then you capture the playback audio. Now, it's not analog, right? I mean, you're capturing it digitally because you're capturing it inside the system. It does find the digital stream. It is capturing that stuff, so it's very, very, very high quality.
It doesn't lose any quality at all.
And it's for things that other than, if you think it's unlikely that a burglar is going to break in and copy protect your songs. There was a live streaming opera on the BBC I really wanted to listen to. I was going to be out of the house, so I simply said Audio Hijack on this date and time, open this URL in Chrome, and then capture the next 2.5 hours that are being generated by Chrome
like
as
a
stereo
DVR
file.
for
Exactly, and
audio.
then it's there for me to listen to.
I do think, though, that in general, iTunes Match is the best choice. And really, it was Apple's kind of loophole for those of us who had, I'll confess, pirated music through the years over Napster and other solutions. So we had a lot of music we didn't really buy, and I think the record labels kind of realized, well, we're never going to get any money out of Leo, so let's get a little bit. Let's charge $25, and we'll replace all of that old music plus all the copy protected music with high quality. I had some of my stuff was 92 kilobits. That's the lowest it'll take. But instead of 92 kilobit MP3, I'm getting a high quality, you said 320 kilobit AAC file with no copy protection in it. The only negative is if you're somebody like Jim, and you've got, remember
Jim
Dalrymple. He had all these kind of weird versions of songs, like live performances.
You mean like a Motley Crue had a studio version of this album, but then they also have a live show in which they played it. But iTunes Match says, oh, look, here are all these same audio tracks. I'm going to replace his beautiful, prized, hard to replace tracks with nicely polished studio editions. And
he was mad. He lost music in effect.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. And make sure you use Match. Keep the originals. Best thing to do would be do the match so it doesn't change anything on your hard drive, but it now has in the cloud a record of what you have, and then go to a new computer and download it. That way you've got the originals plus you have the new matched ones, and in the case of confusion, you'll at least have a way to go back.
I do like to add one more tip that I love, which is I've actually almost completely stopped buying albums digitally. Now I buy them on CD, specifically because, number one, You can buy them used on Amazon for like $4, $5 instead of $12. But also because I know that you see, you're talking about the ownership issue. I think of it as an installer disc where they're selling me uncompressed, un-DRM'd version of this digital thing, and then I pop it in the drive, I rip it, and then I put this in a box in my closet so that if, God forbid, in 3 or 4 years there's an even better compression format, I can re-rip the albums that I want. But it also means that I have the physical CD, and if someone decides that we want to take back every single copy of the White Album ever and make people rebuy it, we're going to remove it from your cloud storage, we're going to remove it from this. So, okay, I've still got the CD. I can still...
Spoken as a man who never plans to move again.
Power to the people.
The last thing you want is a box of hundreds of CDs. I do agree with you. If you rip it, though, do you rip it as a compressed format or as Apple lossless? Yeah. Apple lossless or FLAC. That way you're going to have you could duplicate that CD if you wanted to. You're going to have exactly every bit that's on the CD. What do you got there?
What I got here is a letter from Daniel. Okay, boys. It's a very familiar opening, so I have to do it in a voice. Okay, boys.
All right, boys.
My dreams of maintaining an all-Apple ecosystem are no more.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, audio. I'm sorry. It will soon...
He just slapped me.
And... Sorry. I realized we're on video. If we were on audio, we could have a nice outro play. All right. I'm from the RIAA. Now, are you going to tell people to steal software again? Oh, no. It's Sheriff Digital. He's come in to prevent me from... Sheriff Digital ain't going to be here the next time, Leo. I'll be back, and I'll be bringing my whole posse. You can black out the video part of that to have the full magic of the theater.
I want to black out the audio part of that too while you're at it.
Okay, boys. My dreams of maintaining an all-Apple ecosystem are no more. It will soon be time to retire, if you know what I mean, my wireless N Airport Extreme. Trying to decide between Google Wi-Fi and Eero. Any advice if trying to plan ahead for a future with home automation in mind? Or does it not matter because you will just add on a device like Google Home or Amazon Alexa? Actually, I've been binge watching MST3. You put that on still store and Carambot? Okay, well, this one is from... Google Wi-Fi and Eero. I actually bought Google Wi-Fi. This is my camera, sorry. I actually bought Google Wi-Fi chiefly because I've been looking to upgrade my Wi-Fi for a while, and it's something I need long-term testing for, so it's no good for me to just get a loaner. I like it a lot. I love the setup. I think it's better than Eero's setup. I will say, though, that after doing a lot of investigation, Google Wi-Fi is quite new, whereas Eero is one of the first companies to really get into mesh networks. So the Eero system conforms to emerging standards better. It's a little bit reliable. It's a little bit faster to deal with drop-offs and stuff like that, which is not to say that the Google Wi-Fi isn't good. It's just that Eero is a little bit better. Eero is a little bit more expensive, too. The only other thing I would say is that I'm very much plugged into the Google ecosystem. I have Android phones. Just by happenstance, the services that I happen to choose are a lot of Google services. And so I also have a belief that in a year or two with each new patch, there'll be better support and more intimate support for these things. Home automation, that's obviously an area of interest for Google, whereas for Eero, I'm sure that they do a great job implementing those things, but nonetheless, that's an add-on to a product that they're trying to sell, as opposed to Google that's trying to make home automation as important as anything else for the platform. So I would say tentatively go for Google Wi-Fi. Don't expect it, unless you are just trying to get the fastest, most reliable Google Wi-Fi network, in which case, yes, Eero would edge it out, but they're both very, very good.
I probably should recuse myself because Eero is a sponsor of some of our shows. But a couple of things I would say. First of all, you didn't abandon the Apple ecosystem, it abandoned you. Apple is apparently, we don't know for sure, this was only rumor, but there's never been anything to disprove it, abandoned their Wi-Fi routers. They're not going to make them anymore. For a long time, the Apple Airport Extreme was the best router out there. It was also one of the most expensive. Now there's a lot more choice. It's not just Google Wi-Fi and Eero. There's also, Amplify from, there's Luma, there's Plume, there's Orbi, everybody is doing this system. And I think one of the things I like about it is it has built in this idea of extending your Wi-Fi kind of seamlessly. They all have app-driven interfaces. There's the what is it? The Amplify? Yeah, that's what it's called. And there's 2 different versions of the Amplify even. This is the one I'm kind of most interested in because it's from a company that's been doing mesh longer than anybody, but I have not yet reviewed this, so I don't know. I've been very happy with the Eero. I think the Eero works quite well, but in all these cases, which is great, they're keeping them up to date. They're doing firmware updates. They're also doing capability updates, as you mentioned, and adding capabilities. If you want to do home automation, I think the Google is going to be the right choice because Google very much wants to be in home automation. And I suspect they're going to add more and more home automation features to Google's Wi-Fi. I've installed Eero now on 2 homes. I have used Orbi, which is like the Orbi will like burn holes in your wall. It's that powerful, but it isn't strictly a mesh system. I think we're in a very interesting time, and I don't think it's shaken out yet, to be honest.
Yeah, but the one thing for sure is that your life changes for the better once you upgrade to a mesh network.
Big improvement.
I've got a kind of complicated shaped house, and for 10 years I have been trying lots of different ways to make sure I have Wi-Fi in every room where I need it. And I've tried everything, the stuff that's weird, the stuff that's very traditional. Nothing was as quick, 20-minute install, and the problem is solved as setting up a mesh network. Now, everywhere in the house, I get really good Wi-Fi.
Of the 3 I've installed, I would say they're all very similar in capability, speed, and performance. Anything you get will actually now be better than an Airport Extreme or any old router. Routers, after a while, just don't work as well. And I think getting a new router is something that a lot of people should be doing.
Yeah, and it really is like buying your first new car after 12 years, and you notice that, wow, there is a center navigation, wow, there are power windows, wow, there are, because if you haven't had a new Wi-Fi router in 10 years, you realize that, oh, this phone app can let me say, here are the computers that my daughter and my son use. They are not allowed access to the internet between this hour and this hour.
Feature.
They can get access to this, but only at a slower rate. So and the Netflix box I use in the living room, the bedroom for mom and me gets the best bandwidth ever. So if my kids are on Slack, they get nothing to make sure that I get the best Netflix available.
I think those kinds of features are great. Andy, it's been so much fun to have you. We so rarely get you in studio. Usually you're off there on Skype.
I'm holding down the fort on the East Coast.
Yeah, thank God somebody is. We wouldn't want to fly up in the wind. But we're just really glad you could make some time out here. I'm glad you came out to see Sal and give him my best. And I know you're staying with Sal and Naomi, which is great. That's kind of what you would imagine. Now, are you doing all Ihnatko's Almanac? You stopped doing that on 5x5.
Stopping from 5x5, started a new podcast simply called Almanac.
That's on Relay FM.
That's starting up in a couple of weeks. We did one show that got interrupted by election coverage at my house.
I'm sorry, I can't talk.
Oh God, no, I'm serious.
I got other things on my mind.
Go ahead. I really encourage you to download episode 1 because it was all finished. This is the launch week. All I got to do is record like a 10-minute segment of here's what's happened this week, and I had a lot of work to do. And then, okay, it's 2 a.m. and I'll just do this 10 minutes. I'll be all set to go. And then I've been so busy.
Then you turned on the TV.
Didn't even have the TV on, and so like, oh, wonder how much Hillary won by, and literally like, what? And so
is that on the show?
That isn't on the show, but you hear me live. Like for the next hour and a half, like I'm watching buildings explode around me, saying, "Well, it's a very bad time, very tense time. I don't know what the future means." And I'm watching the electoral counts go up. Say, "Okay, it's now official, above 270." And I just want to say that I haven't lost faith in voters of candidates that I don't support. I know that they had very strong feelings, and my vote, the way that I vote, is going to be weird to you too. So I don't but we're going to have you can see me. Oh my God! Someone send that poor man canned goods and used clothing. He sounds so sad.
He was almost as disappointed as Rachel Maddow. I tell you, it's incredible. Thank you, Andy, for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. We do the new Screensavers every Saturday right after the radio show. That's 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2300 UTC. Tune in live at twit.tv/live, or I'm really happy to say we're now on YouTube Live, youtube.com/twit. While you're there, you can see old episodes of this show and all the shows we do, or go to our website, twit.tv, and download the latest and previous episodes at twit.tv/NSS. You know what the best thing to do? Subscribe. That way you'll get an episode every single week and you won't have to do a thing. We're so glad you were here. Come back. Oh, if you want to be in studio, great studio audience today. Thank you all for being here. Email tickets@twit.tv. Don't forget, next week we're going to do that. What is it called? Groove Muse? That's going to be a lot of fun. twit.to/groupmuse if you want to get tickets for next week. That's a special edition. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time on the new Screensavers. Bye-bye.